I'm joined by Daryl Carter, Jamie Wrenn, as we cover the Christmas action. There's loads of graded races which we're going to go through, but we'll also be covering any other interesting races from all these meetings. Well, the first episode we're going to do is for the British stuff, so we're going to cover Kempton, Chepstow, Newbury, and then any other horses of note. Then we'll go through the Irish stuff, which is mainly going to be Leopardstown, Limerick, and then a few bits and pieces from Down Royal as well. So good evening, chaps. Daryl, how are you doing?
Very well, Dave. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. Tired, but all right. Jamie, how are you doing, mate?
I'm great, man. Sorry, lads, for keeping you up too late.
No, you're all right. It was worth the wait in the end, or we'll see if it was anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll get kicked off with Kempton, Boxing Day. Hopefully I'll be getting down there, weather and child dependent at the moment, but there's some cracking action there. It's one of my favourite meetings of the whole year, especially the fact that we've got the Feltham, the Christmas Hurdle, the King George, those three grade ones just back to back. We'll start off with the Feltham, the Novices Chase. It looks a fairly tidy race, to be honest. So that's the 155 on Boxing Day at Kempton. I really like a horse in here, Danny Whizbang. Now, I don't know 100% whether this is the ideal place for him to be going, whether the track's really going to suit or whether the ground's going to get tested enough. But he just looked like quite a raw horse at Newbury. I think he's got loads of ability, and I expect him to end up as the best out of these lot. I think Master Tommy Tucker's a really nice type as well, but he's an 8-year-old now. He might be good enough to go and win this. I'm not a massive fan of Slatehouse. I don't think he's grade 1 quality. Black Ops, I'm not so convinced on him anymore. He's another 8-year-old. So I'll go over to you, Jamie. What are your thoughts on the race, mate?
I have to agree with you there, Dave. Actually, I like Danny Whizbang as well. I don't think Master Tommy Tucker looks good enough to me. Slade House, it just is just an afterthought, I think, really, with he's gone through the handicap system now. All of a sudden, I think he fell over the line at Huntington. I suppose that's the rest. I still think that form Reserve Tank is good form, because I think Reserve Tank will be a better horse in the spring. Yeah. So, potential-wise, it has to be Danny Whizbang for me.
Nice. Daryl, yourself?
Yeah, I actually agree. 3 for 3 for Danny Whizbang.
Oh, yeah.
I do think that Master Tommy Tucker might actually be the better horse in the long run. I'm just slightly worried about his step up to 3 miles. He could be pretty keen at the start of his races. I know he ran over 2 miles 5 at Exeter as a novice, but he's just pretty keen. He's got a mistake in him as well. I'm just not sure he's going to stay very well. I agree with you about Slate House. I think it's a bit of an afterthought. I'm not sure he can take that sort of step forward as some of these can do. Black Op makes so many mistakes at his fences. I'll be very disappointed if Black Op could win this. And this is a bit of a below par renewal. Danny Whizbang, like you say, the track may not suit him, but I think he's the one that could step forward and bring out the most improvement, even on this track, to be honest with you. I think it's going to set up quite nicely for him if the ground is soft enough. So, Danny Whizbang.
Yeah, perfect. And that's one of the key races for when I want to get to Kempton, is to see the size of Danny Whizbang. As I mentioned at Newbury, he looked quite raw. I did manage to grab a quick word with Harry Cobden as he was going back in, asked if he'd improved for that, and he said, fuck yeah. So I'd imagine that he wasn't really ridden or really prepped for that particular race. So I'm hoping he's going to step forward, but he might be one that's even better when it comes to the spring. So we'll move on to the Christmas Hurdle. This, like we just said with the Kelto Star Novices Chase, there might not look a vintage renewal on paper, but we've got to give them a bit of chance. There's time for lots of these. There's a few youngsters in there. I'm just going to go straight to you, Darren, in this. What do you fancy?
Yeah, I've got a massive fancy in this. I fancy Epatante to step forward here. I'm not entirely sure what Fusi Raffles has done to warrant being such a short price favourite in a Grade 1. The best piece of form Fusi Raffles can offer is a 2 3/4 length beating of Fakir the Dowdries, who only managed a well-beaten 4th in the Supreme Novice Hurdle. Now, Fakir the Dowdries, for me, is improved for a fence. His jumping is an asset over fences. That wasn't the case when he was a hurdler. He was getting beaten fairly comfortably. Again, I know the race at Wincanton for Fusi Raffles came a little bit quickly, according to Nicky Hedison on his work, but a 3/4 length defeat at Grand Sonsi, receiving £3 on, rain-softened ground that day. It was getting softer throughout the day. It's just not good enough to be a warrant a 7 to 4 price for Betfair for a Grade 1 at Christmas. I think Epatante would be unbeaten if she would not have gone to Cheltenham after that flu jab. The way she quickened up at Newbury on return was very impressive. It was instant. I think that race is going to work out quite well as well with French Crusader when the ground gets a little bit better. I think she's got plenty to come. She's got course experience, and she was so impressive here at Kempton last season. Verdana Blue for me is, if she would have come here with a prep run on the all-weather like they've done before and the ground was good, I think she'd be a massive danger, but they haven't got that this time. You'd be slightly disappointed if anything like Silver Streak Chittabello was going to come out and win this. This is normally a champion hurdle trial, so you'd be expecting something to step forward and come into the champion hurdle picture for this. I think it's out the top two, and I would definitely be siding Epatante around 6-1. I think it's massive.
Oh, very bullish about that one, mate.
I am very bullish, yeah.
I think Jamie, I'll let you have a say in this, then I'll come back and pick up a couple of Daryl's comments there.
I have it down to two as well, the two Nicky Henderson horses, all right, Epatante and Fusel Raffles. I can't have Verdana Blue because it has no prep run, as Daryl said.
Yeah.
And plus, she needs to go ground. I know she's getting a £7 allowance there, but she needs to go ground. Now, the £7 with Epatante is getting off Fusel Raffles could tell the difference, all right? But I can't understand. I know if Epatante won the last day, how can the horse go £13? I don't think it could be a champion hurdle horse. But the thing is that Epatante was the favourite last year for the Mayor's Novice, right? The real winner won the Hatton's Grace. What was the name of the Henry de Bromhead horse?
Yeah. Honeysuckle
Would have won the Mayor's Novice, regardless. Yeah. I might be totally wrong. On figures, the best horse in the race is Chittabello, but I can't have that either. I like Each Way. You might think I'm mad. I like Getaway Trump. I just do. I think the faster they go, the better he'll be. Could be enough, but I suppose the most impressive visually was Fusel Raffles when he won the Adonis. So if it's Each Way, Getaway Trump for me, the most likely winner I think is Fusel Raffles, because Nicky Henderson said the last day, out of all of them, Fusel Raffles is his best horse.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's one of those races, isn't it? It's a bit fiddly. We're looking at, like Daryl said, the head of the market. Fusel Raffles potentially is quite short on the form that he's shown. It is that bit of hype around him, isn't it? It's the comments from Nicky Henderson saying that he could be his champion hurdle hope, all those sorts of things. Daryl Jacob also made reference to him that when he first went back to Seven Barrows this season to ride him out, he thought it was the wrong horse when he came out the stable because he got so much bigger. So I'm guessing with like his training plan, all those sort of things, he might take more work in. I think he'll have improved a lot for that last run. The thing with Epatante, and you mentioned there Jamie Honeysuckle, if we think of them now when they were going to run against each other in the Mayor's Hurdle, I was in Team Epatante. I thought she was going to win. The way that Honeysuckle's been blowing away her opposition in Ireland, and the fact that she's being talked about as an actual champion hurdle contender, it really should play that much relevance, but I can't see Epatante going on to win a champion hurdle. I don't think she's going to improve that much for it. But on this day, in this race, getting the £7, she officially is the second highest rated horse, isn't she?
Yeah.
I think Trump's interesting because, like you said, the faster they go, the more it will suit him. He'll travel into it. Silver Streak that you've knocked off, Daryl, I'm similar with him. Like I poo-poo him a little bit, but he was quite good when he won round here before. They did it in the champion hurdle. They rode him for a place and got away with it. So I wonder whether they're going to keep him a bit quiet, and he might be able to pick up some of the pieces. But I've sided with Fusel Raffles in this. They're too short now to be backing, but I'd like to think that he's the best horse in the race, and I hope that he is.
What makes you think? If you forget about any trainer comments and any hearsay and whispers, just based solely on what Fusel Raffles has done on the track, what warrants Fusel Raffles to be a 7-4 shot here? He
shouldn't be 7-4. He is too short. He probably should be 5-2-ish, I'd have thought. But I think that Adonis, like Jamie said, that was like a stunning performance. And then obviously he had a cut leg from an overreach. He's then got fit for Punchestown and he's gone and won there. I know what you're saying with Fakir Doudou. He's improved for a fence because that is clear for everyone to see, I think. Although a lot of people will say it was good form last year, but you're spot on with that. His improvements come because of the fence. But we don't know how wound up he was at Punchestown. I wouldn't say he was 100% at Punchestown, and he put all of those Irish 4-year-olds to bed. I'm willing to upgrade his performance. This is obviously the acid test. I'm expecting if Fusel Raffles is going to be a champion hurdle player, he should be spanking all of these. If Fusel Raffles gets beat in this, then it will just be a case of him knocking about this season until they send him over fences, I reckon.
Yeah, I agree. He needs to be winning this by 5 or 6 lengths, doesn't he? Correct. Impressively.
And I agree with you. I think he is too short a price to be backing. But then I wouldn't. I do like Epatante to a point, but I don't like backing mares. So
No, but she's rated £2 inferior to Fusi Raffles. She's receiving 7.
yeah, but Fuser
You know
Raffles
what I
is
mean?
better than 152, isn't he? And she wasn't rated 150 before her last run. Anywho, too much on the Christmas hurdle. So,
It doesn't matter. All the best horses are in Ireland.
Yeah, that is
they
true.
are. Well, that's what I was kind of hoping with Bouverde getting the little niggle. I was praying that Saudier would come over. I remember when Willie Mullins used to send Forheen over, so I get to watch the Feltham. I get to watch Forheen. I used to get to watch the King George, but obviously that hasn't happened because he's had a little niggle. But you just imagine that if Saudier hadn't picked up the knock and Willie Mullins has got him, Sharjah and Classical Dream, he would have probably been coming over and scooping up the pot. Anyway, on to the King George. All right, we'll let Dazzler go off on this one because I think he wants to. Daryl, King George.
Another favourite I can't have is as short as he is. Surname. This surname's a 177 rated horse. I admit defeat. He beat Altior fair and square. He was wound up for that day. But in my opinion, he's a 177 horse at Ascot over 2 miles 5 on soft ground. He's not a 177 horse over 3 miles at Kempton. I think, look, during the week I was torn between Clan des Obeaux and Lost in Translation. I went back and I watched last year's run. Clan des Obeaux jumped terribly last year. And how he managed to win is quite remarkable, to be honest with you. I don't think he's going to get away with that this year. I think it's a deeper contest this year. I think Lost in Translation, if he's ridden prominently, I think he's going to be. I think he can pick Surname up and make him pay. In the final third of the race. But
Yeah,
that's. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's fair, to be honest. I mean, I think we all said that we thought Altior was going to beat Surname. Me and you talked about it before, didn't we, Jamie, as well?
Yeah, didn't I tell you Surname had beat him?
Yeah, you did. But it is. I think Surname potentially because of what he did to Altior. We've got. It's one of them. We're just not going to know until after this race. It is an opinion-based favourite. I think it could be that Altior's on the decline and Surname's not that good. It could be that Altior was just that good and Surname's just better than him. I think Surname will get away with the 3 miles around Kempton. It's the fact that he's had the hood off. He's obviously a bit quirky. They train him differently at home now. He's going to a different racetrack, like Daryl says. It's not Ascot. It's not the 2 mile 5. There's just a few things that will be a little bit different with him. And the fact that he has got that little bit about him, I wouldn't want to be backing him at 6-4. But I think Lost in Translation probably, Surname does deserve to be favourite. He is the highest rated chaser in training, the same as Ken Boy. Lost in Translation deserves to be the price that he is. Clan des Obeaux, it's ridiculous that he obviously won the race last year and he's as big a price he is, but I do think the bookies have got every single runner spot on in this. I did fancy Footpad a little while ago, thinking that slower ground, not thinking that Lost in Translation would beat Bristol de Mai. I just thought he could have been a bit of a bet, but the closer it gets to the race, the more and more I'm just put off a Footpad. He just doesn't look like he should be good enough to beat all 3 of the other ones. I couldn't have Thistlecrack. I couldn't even have Thistlecrack the year that he won it. So I can't have him now. I can't have ASO in the slightest. It would just be interesting to see. Hopefully there are no mistakes because, like you say, Daryl, Clan des Obeaux can make some. Surname has been jumping really well, but I think he's got a mistake in him. Footpad, we all know, can bank a fence. So yeah, I just hope they all get round and we'll find out some more after it. But I couldn't be confident in the selection here. I think at the prices now, I'd have to go with Clan des Obeaux. Jamie, what do you reckon, mate?
I agree with Daryl there, right? Surname is a 2 mile and a half mile, 177 horse round Ascot. Going through more Thistlecrack, not a hope, ASO, not a hope. I actually watched the race as well, Daryl, this morning, and Clan des Obeaux must have hit about 5 or 6 fences and still won a bad race. I've been with you, Daryl, a couple of months ago. I thought Footpad would be laid out for this. He can cloud a fence too, but he's never won over 3 miles. Willie Mullins think miler. And I said, no, I think Footpad is tripless. I really do.
Yeah, but, I agree.
Yeah, I think he's tripless. I think Lost in Translation is a good thing. He jumps well. I don't buy into this crap that he won't go around Kempton or 3 miles. Remember, he kept up with Defi Desai all last year over 2.5 miles and was leading him to the final fence every time. I think
the only thing with that is that all of his runs have come on big galloping tracks, not on sharp tracks. That would be the slight worry, but that is your only worry with him, isn't it?
That's your only worry with him. Yeah, I agree with you there. But I think he's a better jumper than Mullum. Now, Surname will probably pop and pop and pop and pop. But I think Surname will cry wolf when they turn the corner going into the third last. It's like, remember Q Card there one year? Thank God he stopped when Silvio Conti went past. That's what I'm trying to play out the race in my head. And looks like Surname will jump the second last in the middle. And then I think he'll just stop.
I agree.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think it's the price more than anything that's making me swerve towards Clanders Oboe. If we're having to put up a selection for the race, I would have to stick with Footpad because I've backed him a while out. But you two are both going Lost in Translation?
Yep.
Boom. Right, we're going to move on to Kempton on the 27th. So there's a couple of, well, they're grade 2s, but there's a couple of nice races that are in there. We're probably over a little bit of time, not that it matters too much, on the first few we've talked about. But when we get to not the Wayward Lad, when we get to the Desert Orchid Chase, we'll have not so much talk about Altior, to be fair. We'll just get it over and done with. So, on to the Wayward Lad. Daryl, I'm going to let you go for this one, mate. 2 mile novice chasers, that's your thing, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a poor renewal, to be honest with you. The likes of Dynamite Dollar, Surname, Altior, Armad, Vibratat, Dodging Bullets, Sprinter Sacra. And then we're looking at, I mean, this Fanny and Destravel, looked pretty useful the last day. But, it's easy to get carried away with these horses. He won off 137. He was getting his 4-year-old allowance in a handicap. So I know he did look very useful. But he's not one I want to go steaming in at 13-8, really, stepping up in grade for the first time. He could be pretty special, but it's just one I want to step back from. To be honest, I haven't really got a bet in this race. Our Dancer can bank a fair few fences. He tends to leave his hind legs training through his fences, just slows momentum. I actually thought Getaway Trump had him covered over fences when they was running against each other. So the fact that they've dropped back to hurdles now and thought that they're going to save his novice status just doesn't really fill me with hope about Our Dancer. Grand Sonti, Paul Nicholls has targeted this race in the last few years. If it's anything worse than good to soft, he's got absolutely no chance. And then we're looking down to the likes of Global Citizen and this Marie Ban Rye for Dan Skelton. Now, this horse was foot perfect when she beat Thomas Darby at Warwick. Absolutely foot perfect. Did not make one mistake at her fences. And Thomas Darby was still gaining on her at the running. She is not going to be good enough for this sort of level at all. And then I'm just finding myself going back to the favourite of 13-8 that I don't want to back because he's stepping up in grade. So don't know where you boys sit with it.
Yeah, I'm not far away from you, I think, on this. It's one of them you look at from a punting perspective. I think you'd be mad to have a strong opinion on anything in there. One of those races to watch. Hopefully it'll prove as decent form lines for the season. Hopefully something goes and spanks it. I did think that Fanny and Despreval after it won at Newbury, I did think I'd pitch that as sort of a mid-150s horse for the end of the season. So it does get a bit of weight in here from a couple of other horses, but I think it'd have to probably improve a bit still to win this. It's not a race I could get excited about. It's not even anything that I'd want to have a selection in. The only thing I would say with Grand Sonti is I thought he ran quite well at Sandown, considering that was his first spin. And he's going to obviously come on for that. And as you say, Nicholls targets the race, doesn't he? So if I was forced to have a selection, I'd go Grand Sonti, but it wouldn't be a betting race for me.
I did, Dave, as well. But I went back and watched the race because when we was at Sandown, he looked quite impressive. Like he was there and he just blew up. Went back and watched the race and Nube Negra just skipped past him like he weren't even there.
Yeah, but I don't think Grand Sonti was there to do much than just have a run around, really, was he?
Perhaps not, but he did look threatening, didn't he, at one stage? And Nube Negra just skipped past him, and I just thought it was a bit deflating, really, considering at the time I thought, oh, hold on a minute, he could have a say here. But
yeah, Jamie, what do you make of it, mate?
Oh, I have an absolute good thing here. An absolute moral certainty. It's Global Citizen.
Yes, Ben Pauling's flying again, isn't he?
Yeah. Ben Pauling, right, would want to wake up and smell the fucking coffee, right, in this, right? He has to realise that Global Citizen is a flat track, flat horse bully, right? He should be winning this race by a country mile. He was 9-4 the last day to beat Brewing Up a Storm. Would Ben Pauling just say that the horse will not go on an undulating track? It just drives me fucking insane. Like, put the horse flat track fucking race and he'd win the race.
Yeah.
Right? I can't have Fanny and Destraval. The only thing I like Grand Sansi could be a horse for handicap because Paul Nickett's always seems to put a horse in a Grade 1 race. That Grade 1 Silly Isles, first time wide over fences, right? He's proven that he'll put the horse in a handicap and no one will back it. Grand Sansi needs good ground, I think. But I Global Citizen around Kempton, when he won that Dove Cup there one year, he was very impressive. I think he'll just go from start to finish and he'll win. He's 7-1, I think I saw it today earlier. What a bet. Fill your boots.
Yeah, that's fair. I did, while Daryl was talking about it, I did have a little glance down to Global Citizen. Couldn't be as brave as to say that he'd be a banker, but I can definitely see the angle and line in with him. Bit of a head case sometimes, isn't he? Maybe he could be 2-3, but yeah, fair enough. We've got a Napo early in. So we'll move on to the Desert Orchid Chase. That's the 2:30 on the... I don't know what day of the week it is. Friday, is it? Yeah, Friday. We can't get too caught up in this with the debacle about Altior, all those sort of things. But yeah, Altior just wins, doesn't he? Unless, do we think there's any chance that he's been ruined by surname?
No, Nicky Henderson's bottled it and haven't gone for the King George. So I think it's just this now. He's gone back over 2 miles. It's a joke. Get rid of him.
Daryl, anything?
Get rid of Nicky Henderson. I'm fed up with it. And you, God,
from
what's
my
going on?
Though,
The other day, he weren't fit. He weren't going to be fit for the King George, and now he's fit for the Desert Orchid day later. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Look, I'm a bit worried about Altior. I thought he was on a slight decline, but then when he ran against Surname, I thought he actually did all right considering everything was in Surname's favour that day. I thought he actually did quite well. You know, on the stepping up and trip on heavy ground on return. You know, I thought he did all right. It depends how much is taken out of him, doesn't it? They were obviously worried about him after the race. I mean, I don't back at 1 to 3. I don't think anybody does, do they? But I mean, it's just a race to watch. I mean, I don't know. You don't know what you're going to get from him, do you? If he's still left the mark, So Royale might pick him up.
But then So Royale probably wants better ground as well, didn't he? I mean, Altior should be winning this. I'm glad that Henderson's brought him back. I just thought it was stupid to take on a horse like Surname over a middle trip. There's literally every other horse in British training was rated below Surname. Why would you take on the top novice, or the top rated chaser in his backyard and all that sort of stuff? I did think Altior would be good enough to go and win him, and I suppose you might as well take on the best to prove it, all those sort of things. But I'm glad he's brought him back now. Stop messing about with him. I just hope that he's still as good and they haven't done a bit of damage to him. But we will end up talking about this for hours, so I'm stopping it there. Right, we're going to go over to Chepstow.
Stop you there, David, right? Daryl, you drinking Wicked, is it?
Yeah,
listen, you kept us up all night. That's all we got left.
You know what we call that over here? Because I'm from Kerry, right? Because I'm not far from Limerick, right? West Kerry Diesel, that's what that calls. That's how shite that drink is.
We're hoping to get sponsored by Wicked, I reckon, the amount of bottles that Daryl goes through. Anywho, to Chepstow, the finale juvenile hurdle, we've already touched on before at Kempton that some of them might not instantly appear as vintage renewals. This might have the same sort of feel on it, but looking at the market, the way it's been going recently, Cerberus is being backed. He drifted out a little bit before. JP's just bought him. It's his only entry over this period. Looks like he's going to come over. I mean, if he did come over, I'd be very excited to see him run. But I do think All Mankind looks like a pretty useful juvenile. His form's obviously been franked by the horse that he beat at Cheltenham going and winning. There doesn't seem to be a whole great deal in here. I wasn't very impressed with that Navajo pass. There's a couple of other ones at bigger prices that you could make slight sort of each way cases for, but I pitched this as just a match between Cerberus and All Mankind, and I think whichever one wins that, or unless it's sort of like a head bobber, if one of them goes and wins by a couple of lengths, I think we could be talking about a pretty useful juvenile. Jamie, what do you reckon, mate?
I suppose, All Mankind, I backed him last day at Cheltenham, and the form was franked, but I suppose you'd have to hold off on the Cerberus bet because a Wave to See, we'll get to later, is running in the day before. So if Wave to See holds up, you'd have to back Cerberus to beat All Mankind. The only thing I have about All Mankind, he'd have to go out in front when he set it up for Cerberus, and Cerberus just go past at the last. That's the way I can plan it out in my head. I was thinking about it today. But my bet in the race would be Cerberus. All depends if Wave to See wins the Frank Ward Juvenile at Leopardstown the day before. That's my opinion. the rest of
Daryl?
Completely agree with what Jamie just says. All Mankind was really impressive at Cheltenham. I timed the race and compared it to the Supreme trial on the day later. And I know you shouldn't compare them over the 2 days, but it was just because it was so obvious that All Mankind went hell for leather and then slowed the race right down, got a big breather back in, and then went again to the line. I just wanted to double check if it did. That was the case. And from the 5th to the last, from the 3rd to the 5th, the All Mankind race was a second ahead of the Supreme the following day. But from the 5th to the 7th, they lost 3 seconds and the Supreme took over and were 3 seconds ahead at the same time in the race. So he definitely slowed it right down, got himself a breather and then kicked on again. The finishing effort wasn't as quick as the Supreme the day after. I've got him around a 142 maybe rated. It just depends on how good Cerberus is. I think it's completely between the two. I don't see anything else. Nothing else looks obviously like a potential improver that's going to improve past the two. So it's definitely between the two. Wouldn't have All Mankind so short after looking back at the 2 races today. But I wouldn't have a strong opinion on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'd sort of sided with All Mankind. It looked like Cerberus was drifting in the market and he wasn't going to be coming over. But then as the entries have come out and it's the only place he could be going, I mean, it's not confirmed he definitely will come over, but it's looking more like he will be. All Mankind, when he was an even money shot and Cerberus might not have been running, looked quite tempting. But now, yeah, I wouldn't be so confident at the price. I would still side with All Mankind. I think he could be quite good, but obviously Cerberus does rate as a major danger. So we'll move on to the Welsh National. I'll leave this one to you two boys because although I've had winners in this race before, it isn't one I put any sort of effort into. I just chuck a tenner in. For my quick penneth worth, I would say that West Approach, if he does run, I'd still give him a chance. Trucker's Lodge looks like he's been plotted, but it's just too obvious. And Elegant Escape would be a hell of a performance if he does it, but he probably does deserve to be favourite. So, Daryl, what do you reckon, mate?
I haven't got a massively strong opinion on these sort of races, to be honest. The field just filled with plodders. Nothing really like potential improvers. They are what they are, sort of thing. I think Elegant Escape deserves to win this, to be honest. Some of his efforts he's put in over the last 2 years have just been outstanding, like carrying big weights, etc. Like you say, what a bit of a price West Approach. Will he go here? I think he's got a fantastic chance if he does. Creve Hill's been in fine form this year. Probably forget that run on heavy ground at Ascot, write that off. I think the Welsh National is going to be a bit better ground, and it's not going to be as testing as Ascot was. But Jamie's probably best to take this, I would have thought.
I have a small, strong opinion on the race, I suppose. And I look back at the form there the last day, right? I like 2 in it. And it goes on a novice chase. They ran in Chepstow there 2 or 3 runs back last year, I think. It's now McGinty's the obvious one and Steely Edition. I can't understand, like, now McGinty's second favourite, right? Steely Edition is probably just double the price, I think, than now McGinty. But I think they're off the same mark, right? And now, like, in that novice chase, right? Now McGinty won it. Who was second? The Hennessy winner, the Rasher Counter. And then you have Steely Edition was 13 lengths behind. They're off the same mark. So I can't understand it. I see a lot of pundits back in Steely Edition. Oh, I love Philip Hobbs. I think he's the best trainer in the world. But I can't decide between the two of them, but I would go with now McGinty because he's beaten Steely Edition around the same track. Now I know it's an extra 5 furlongs. You don't know if Steely Edition might pick him up. But if you think Santini is a Gold Cup horse, you have to think now McGinty will win the Welsh National. Yeah,
that's fair, to be honest. And we've said it before, and I've said it before, that horses that beat horses, don't they? If they've beaten them before, even if there's penalties, all those sort of things, they should be doing them again. So that's a fair shout, to be honest.
But the Rasher Counter, David, is the thing. Like, Rasher Counter is going now. Is he going for the old pillar chase now? They're getting a bit brave. But they're getting a bit brave. You think they may have another Gold Cup horse. Yeah. But no, I don't know.
He was good in the Hennessy, though.
He was good in Hennessy, yeah, but I just think Welsh National is such a shite race.
No one wanted to say it, James. But
I tell you, right, a fucking 3 mile Kerry National around the stall is fucking more interesting than a Welsh National. I'm sorry.
It is indeed. Unless Robbie Power chucks Chantal Village into the last.
Shut up! Don't start, David. Don't start.
We can't mention him on every preview we do. That one fence. Right. We'll move on to Newbury on the Saturday, the Challow Novices Hurdle. So that's the grade 1 there. It's probably the theme of this video, to be honest, that it might not look like a particularly vintage renewal, but most of them can look like it beforehand. Time Hill will be going off favourite in this. Time Hill is the most likely winner of the race. Son of Camus for Nicky Henderson. He did win at Newbury the last day. Won a bumper before that. I'm not convinced that he wants to step up and trip personally. And Rillo was quite good. I don't know whether this is his ideal trip. He'll probably go off second favourite. Harry Senior's been looking like he's getting better with each run, but I would just expect that Time Hill should win this. I think this is his the sort of track that will suit him down to the ground. I think it's the sort of trip that just suits him. And although there is some potential horses in there that could be a little bit juicy as the season go on, I reckon Time Hill, even at even money, could be the single best even money shot of the Christmas festival. I'd rather back Time Hill at even money than take a coin flip. So that's my view on it. Daryl?
Yeah, I think Time Hill's the most likely winner. I think 2 mile 4 was probably a trip that does suit him. When he ran at Cheltenham, I thought he looked shaped like an Albert Bartlett type. But I keep going back and watching it. He just doesn't convince me at the finish of races. I think 2 mile 4.5 around Newbury is going to be perfect for him. And Rillo, to me, needs either 2.5 of soft ground, very soft ground, or he wants much further. The Cashel man's an interesting runner. Bit of a price 6 to 1. I don't know if he's going to go here or not. That was impressive last time at Newbury over course and distance. But it's a terrible, terrible renewal of the Challow Hurdle. Do we not agree? This is crap, really, isn't it?
It could be, but then if we get Time Hill going and bolting up, or we get Rillo firing up or whatever, it looks at the moment that it might be. But most of the highest rated British novice last year was Getaway Trump at the end of the season, and that was only because he won a handicap. So you've got to be your high 150s at the end of the season. Time Hill's already 147. So
yeah, I just what, Time Hill, I just wonder how much more he's got to come.
Yeah, I feel like he's already.
He should be winning this because it's that crap of a renewal. He should be winning this, but he's not a flashy horse, I know, but I think he might have a ceiling to his ability, and I don't think we're too far away from seeing it, to be honest with you. That's just the gut feeling I get from him when I watch his racing.
Yeah, Jamie?
But, I could be wrong.
Oh, he's an absolute good thing, all right. And I agree with Daryl. I have this thing in my head. He'll be such a short price favourite for the Albert Bartlett. And I think a great yard for favourites. An absolute great yard, right?
Yeah.
Think something's going to happen. You think, I still have that thing in my head, is that there's something that will probably beat him, and it'll probably be something that you've never fucking talked about in your life when it comes to the Albert Bartlett. It's just, I have the niggle in my head, but I suppose at the moment he's the most likely winner, but because of that bumper so strong from last year at Cheltenham. But I mean, what are you doing over in Britain with your novices? And they're all crap.
Yeah, me and Daryl talked about that off air beforehand, that we are probably struggling again this year, to be honest. I'm talking about Master Debonair as probably the best chance for our Supreme novices, and I do give him a bit of a chance, but it is a bit of a sad state of affairs when we're talking about horses like that. And I think we could probably all agree that Time Hill is probably best at 2.5 miles. The 2 mile 5 of the Ballymore would suit him best. The only reason everyone's touting him for an Albert Bartlett is because they know he's not going to go up against Envoy Alan. Not that he's going to be the best 3 mile, all that sort of stuff. And it's terrible, isn't it? That they're shying away before the festivals even come around.
But the Ballymore is going to be there'll be hardly no field in it. You'd be lucky to get 8-9 runners in the Ballymore now, because they'll all be afraid of Envoy Allen.
Well, I'm hoping the big breakaway goes there. I'm hoping Colin Taylor doesn't send him in the Albert Bartlett, because it is a horse that doesn't do so well for the short priced runners in there, and also seems to take a lot out of them. So yeah, we'll have to see, won't we? So that is the graded races covered for the British stuff. Only those 3 days worth of action. Was there anything else away from that sort of thing? Handicap bumpers, novices, maidens, anything that took your fancies? Because there's nothing from me.
That's a lot.
No, there isn't. There's nothing else with the British racing that I could be slightly interested in, to be honest. I've only gazed through most of the cards, but I just can't wait to get stuck into the Irish stuff. We are going to be absolutely minted come New Year's Day. And if we're not, Portrush Ted's going to run on the second air in a handicap hurdle, so we can get it all back then. So don't worry. Free rolling, boys. So anything?
Chepstow. On I think Chepstow the 20th. Yeah, Chepstow. The horse I fucking shares him is running in a 3-mile handicap, and the favourite for the race is AC Milan, and that horse just drives me mad as well.
Yeah.
If your man doesn't win, I give him one more chance. If Tedham does not win this 3-mile handicap if he runs, I will go out the field and shoot myself. What the jockey was doing the last day, I will never know. I don't know the name of the jockey. I don't want to know. But
sorry, Jan. Sorry to disappoint you, mate. He's running at Wincanton on Boxing Day.
Oh, is he Wincanton? Is he going in the part-time network thing? Is he?
He is. He's favourite of 5-2 in an 8-runner field in a Potemps qualifier. So,
So that's one interesting thing there, because I like Tedham was like an eye catcher at Haydock when he got hampered, all those sorts of things, should be winning a race. Now that he's in a Potemps qualifier, Daryl is a massive advocate of this. We all agree. You just want to come sixth. You don't want to be winning it. You don't want to get a move up, hike up or anything. And they'll look at it as a bit of prize money for Tedham. I reckon he'll get beat. He is currently 40-1 for the Potemps at Cheltenham. I mean, he's potentially not going to be winning it, but 40-1, you could boost it to 45-1, worth a fiver in it, just for saving grace in case he goes and does it.
Wait till Nicky Henderson runs Apple Shakira now in a handicap in a couple of weeks' time, and he'll finish sixth with the brakes on like this, and then
That'll be
the thing is, you got in the Potemps last year of 134. Yeah. So you probably want to be around 136 to 138 to make sure you get in and to have a nice weight. You're Tedham's on 133.
Was the Barley 137, 138 in the back of my head?
Yeah. So you probably got one win in you, or one second place finish against a decent horse before the Potemps, I would say.
Sure, that was the best of all time last year. Davy Russell looking around, and he was in 14th place coming around. Oh shit! Come on, we'll have to ride the horse now.
It's so fascinating to watch, isn't it? Because and the thing is, as well, there's so many gambles in these races as well. When people talk about horses, there was a Pat Kelly horse. Can't remember the name of it. In the same ownership as Presenting Percy. Yeah, it was because it ran in a Potemps qualifier, didn't it? And they smashed it up from 50s into a short price. And it was literally just tailed off, went nowhere.
It was the only race that ever won, Maldini, I think. The fucking Potemps.
Oh yeah, that was the other one with it, wasn't it? So I'll tell you what. Before we move on to the Irish stuff now, that's going to be a wrap for the British action. We'll cut the episode here, and then we're going to move on to the Irish stuff. We'll keep it running on here so we can just keep going with it.